Welcome to an introduction to Badugi in 10 minutes or less, brought to you by RecPoker. So what is Badugi? It's typically played 8-handed. It's a 4-card hand. There are no community cards. It's a drawing game, and all cards are held in your hand. It's a low ball game. In this game, you want to have different suits and different ranks between your 4 cards. So ace, deuce, 3, 4 of 4 different suits is the best possible hand. It's a triple draw game, meaning there are 3 drawing rounds, and you can draw anywhere between 0 and 4 cards 3 different times to try to improve your hand. It's a game played with blinds. There are 2 blinds, the small blind and the big blind. It's a limit betting game. The same size as the big blind is the small bet, and it's used before the first draw and after the first draw in the first 2 betting rounds. The big bet doubles the small bet, and it's used in the 3rd and 4th drawing round after the 2nd and 3rd draw. So there are 4 betting rounds total. And raises are usually capped at 4 bets. Now this depends upon the side of the room, but that's what's typically done with Badugi. Now let's go through the Badugi hand rankings. So the best possible hands are 4-card Badugis. That means in your 4 cards, you have no paired cards, and there are no shared suits. So the best possible hand, as we discussed, is 4-3 ace, or 4-3 deuce ace. Then we go on to 5-3 deuce ace, 5-4 deuce ace, 5-4-3 ace, 5-4-3 deuce, and then 6-3 deuce ace, and it keeps on going like that until we get to the worst 4-card hands, which culminate with king, queen, jack, 10 of 4 different suits. But all of the 4-card hands are relatively strong. And if you have a 4-card Badugi, you're likely to win. Obviously, the stronger the 4-card Badugi, the better. If you cannot make a 4-card hand, we move on to 3-card Badugi hands. And these will often win at Showdown, although you can't feel very confident. But often people will miss it, particularly if you're in a heads-up pot. So 3 deuce ace is the best possible hand. Now notice we're pairing the second 3. So only one of our 3s is playing. So we're basically playing a 3-card hand, and we ignore that 4th card. Or in this case, we have 4 deuce ace. In this case, we share a suit. So we're using the lower rank of our suited hand, making 4 deuce ace our hand. And it keeps moving up 5, 6, 7, 8, so forth and so on until we get to our worst 3-card hands of king, queen, 9, king, queen, 10, and king, queen, jack as the worst 3-card Badugi hand. Of course, there are 2-card hands as well. 2-card hands will almost never win at Showdown, but sometimes they're good starting hands, particularly if you have an ace deuce, ace 3, ace 4. 2 cards lower than a 4 is reasonable to start, particularly from later position. And then you keep moving up 3 ace, 4 ace, 5 ace, so forth and so on until you get to your worst hands of king 10, king jack, and king queen as your worst 2-card Badugi hands. And there are 1-card Badugi hands. The only way to have a single card Badugi is either with 4 of a kind or a flush. It's very rare. You'll never win with a 1-card Badugi. But just for completion, showing all of these, and of course the worst single card Badugi hand is a 10. So you basically have almost a royal flush in order to have that. But that is the worst possible Badugi hand. So let's go into an example hand and see how it's played. In this example, Doyle is the small blind with 100 chips, Maria is the big blind with 200 chips, and Steve is under the gun in first act. Steve has a relatively good hand, 7-3 deuce ace, but his 7 has the same suit as his 3. Therefore, he's playing a 3-card Badugi hand right now of 3 deuce ace. So when he draws, he'll pitch the 7. But that's a good starting hand, so he's going to raise to 400 chips. Chris is going to call the 400. Taylor's going to fold. Rob is going to call. Jim is going to fold. John decides to call. Doyle folds, surrendering a small blind. Now Maria decides to 3-bet to 600 chips. Gets back to John, and John decides to cap the betting round, raising to 800 chips. No more bets are possible. Chris is going to fold for that. Rob folds as well. And John, being a glutton for punishment, calls. Now the dealer rakes all of the, and then Maria calls. She can't raise, the betting has been the betting has been capped. So the dealer brings all the chips into the pot, and we go on to the first drawing round with 3,300 chips in the pot. Since Maria is first after the button, she is first to draw. She's going to discard one card and get a replacement. Steve, as we mentioned before, is going to discard the 7 of hearts, and he gets, for a replacement, a 5 of clubs. Unfortunately, that is still the same suit as his ace. Therefore, he's still playing a 3-deuce ace Badugi. And John is discarding 2 cards and drawing 2 cards. Now we go on to the second betting round. Action starts with Maria. Maria bets 200. Steve raises to 400. John decides to fold at this point, and Maria elects to just call. The dealer then pulls the chips into the pot, and we move on to the second drawing round with 4,100 chips in the pot. Maria is first to draw. She's going to discard 1 and get a replacement. Steve is going to discard the 5 of clubs and hopefully get a better card to replace that. He gets a 7 of diamonds. Unfortunately, that is the same suit as his deuce. Therefore, he is still playing a 3-card Badugi hand. Now we move on to the third betting round. Maria is first to act. She checks. Steve bets 400. Maria decides to implement the check raise and raises to 800. Steve elects to just call at this point. Dealer pulls the chips into the pot, and we move on to the third and final drawing round with 5,700 chips in the pot. Maria stands pat, so she's not going to take any cards. Steve discards the 7 of diamonds and gets rewarded with the 9 of spades. So now he has a 4-card Badugi hand, a 9-3 deuce ace. We move on to the fourth and final betting round. Maria bets 400 chips. With the 9 high Badugi, that's a good hand. It's too strong to fold with this much money in the pot, but it's probably too weak to raise given that Maria stood pat. Steve might have the best hand here, but he might not, but he elects to just call at this point. Now the dealer pulls the chips into the pot, and we see a showdown with 6,500 chips in the pot. Maria tables her cards, showing the best possible Badugi hand, 4-3 deuce ace. That will win the hand. Steve's going to muck his cards, and the pot is awarded to Maria. Now for some additional tips. Start with good starting Badugi hands. These are hands like a pat 4-card Badugi. You don't get dealt those very often, but you do. Even if it's a king high Badugi, it's a favorite with 3 draws against a 3 deuce ace. So more times you are going to miss when you're drawing 1 card to a 3-card Badugi. 3 cards, 8 or lower, are also a very good starting hand, or 2 cards, 4 or lower from late position. Usually it takes at least 3 very good 3-card Badugi, like a 5 high or maybe a 6 high Badugi to win if it's only a 3 card. Pay attention to the number of cards that are drawn. This will let you know if you're drawing fewer cards than your opponent, you're likely ahead. Remember your discards. You can use card elimination to narrow your opponent's range, just like in other poker games. And here's a little bit of idea of some of the Badugi combos. So there's 5,280 king high 4-card Badugis, 3,960 queen high, all the way down to then 24 4-high Badugis. This makes a jack high Badugi the mean 4-card Badugi. So as you can see, that makes 8 high and 7 high Badugis relatively strong. So join us playing our home game. We play No Limit Hold'em on the first Wednesday of every month at 8 p.m. Central. And on the second Wednesday of every month, we play a mixed game. Check out rec.poker/homegame for all of the information on how to join.